Okay, onto the quadratic equation formula, staring at it right here. Okay, so x equals, this is how we solve, again, how we solve a quadratic equation when we can't factor it. So remember, one way is completing the square. This is the other way, the quadratic equation formula. What does x equal? Right, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Right, well, let's just quickly kind of... okay, so if I had something like x squared plus 2x, horrible writing, plus 3, then a would be 1, alright, b would be 2, and c would be 3. That's the order, a, b, c. X squared, x, and the number, okay? Just in case they mix it up a bit, remember which is which. Okay, let's try it. Now, I've kind of already got one going here, but what I'm trying to say is have a look at this. X squared plus 9x plus 18 equals 0. Now, the thing about this one is you can factor this, so you don't have to use completing the square or quadratic equation formula. That will go into two parentheses. What's two numbers that make 18 when you multiply, they make 9 when you add? 6 and 3. Okay, so there we go. X plus 6, x plus 3 equals 0. So the two answers, the two zeros, what makes it 0, okay, here we are, is negative 6 and negative 3. Those are the two answers. Now suppose you didn't factor it and you put it into the quadratic equation formula. We should come up with negative 6 and negative 3. So I'm just showing you how to use the quadratic equation formula, looking at numbers that we already kind of know. So, again, let's go back to it. Sometimes the hardest thing is just this inside the square root. What's b squared minus 4ac? There's a negative in it, so be careful of double negatives. Just watch it. That's where a common mistake is, trying to solve out that b squared minus 4ac. So, here it is, b squared minus 4ac. So, here it is, inside this square root. I've already done it, but look, this is how I've got it. What's b? b is 9. Alright, so there's b, it's 9, okay? 9 squared is 81. Right, minus, okay, in the formula, I've got minus, alright? Here it is, minus, what's 4 times a times c? Alright, 4 times 1, because it's 1x squared, times 18. That's 72. 81, so that's it. That's why there's an 81 minus 72 inside the square root. It's a negative b at the start. Remember the formula, okay? So negative b. So therefore, I've got negative 9, okay? So again, b kind of starts it off, then b is the first thing in the square root, so those kind of things just recognise there's a negative 9, all right? So there's an 81 inside the square root because I squared it, all right? So we are going to get, let's just finish this off now. So that's why the quadratic equation for this one, for 1, 9 and 18, looks like this. Okay. Let's just erase all this. So that's how I got inside the square root, the b squared minus 4ac. Okay, so let's just keep on going. This is where people fall down on this. Negative 9 plus or minus the square root of what's 81 take away 72, it's 9, and that's all over 2. So this becomes negative 9 plus or minus 3. And notice that's why there's a plus or minus in the equation. When we square root it, we get plus or minus all over 2. So I'm going to look at this. What's negative 9 plus 3? All right, that's the first bit. That is negative 6. When I divide it by the 2, okay, divided by the 2, I get negative 3. That's one answer. Let's go back up here. Remember this? There it is. There's negative 3. How about a negative 9? Take away a 3. Okay, again, I'm just doing this again, but with the minus 3. Well, that, excuse the tilt in here, is negative 12. If I put that over 2, that equals negative 6. All right, again, there's the answer. Okay, so that's you using the quadratic equation formula. Let's do one from scratch for the next one. All right, just one more time. Let's erase all this. Okay, so I'll do the next one. Now notice this has been written wrong in a sense. It doesn't have it in the correct order. So again, it should be x squared minus 6x plus 7, because I add 7 to both sides, okay? And that'll put it equal to 0, which is how we want it set up, okay? So A is 1, B is negative 6, and C is positive 7. So, here we go. Negative B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. So, negative B, in other words, negative 6. That is positive 6 at the start. Alright, negative B is negative, but B is negative 6, double negative, positive 6. Now, no matter whether this is positive or negative, negative 6 or positive 6 squared, B squared, is 36. Oh, remember that. Okay? Never be negative. Okay, that's always positive. Minus. Now, is it minus? Do I see double negatives? Right. I'll just write it like this. Minus 4. A is 1, isn't it? C is 7. So I don't see any double negatives there. Okay. All over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, so keep on going. 6 plus or minus the square root of 36. Is that just minus 28? 4 times 7? All over 2. Let's keep on going. 6 plus or minus the square root of 8, isn't it? That's 8. All over 2. Okay, so I've got down to that. It's 6 plus or minus the square root of 8 over 2. Right, here's where some students kind of just forget how to finish it off. Let's just scroll down a bit. Okay, so remember, I've got to this. 6 plus or minus the square root of 8. What's the square root of 8? The square root of 8 you can't literally do, but write it as, now remember this from the last section, plus or minus the square root of 8 is 4 times 2. Okay, still all over 2. By the way, please do not try and cancel inside a square root with the denominator. Something inside a square root cannot be cancelled, right? Because it's not, you've still got to square root it. Okay, so what's the square root of 4? It's 2. Remember that, like in chapter 7, the previous section, the radicals can come outside. Right, I've square rooted the 4. I've still got the 2 left inside. Let's get some room underneath here. Alright, and that's still all over 2. So all I've done is square root of 4, it's 2 outside. Now look, both of these numbers outside the square root can be divided by 2. Don't do the thing inside the square root. It's the square root of 2, it's not 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 2, so if it plus or minus, is 1. I don't really need it. 1 root 2. Okay? So that is the answer. Okay? 3 plus or minus root 2, don't really need the 1. Okay? So I'll call it stop for there, and I'll come back, because I need to do some more. Supposing you get some negatives where you have to deal with I. Alright? There you go.